Recently, TechRax dropped a PS5 down a spiral staircase, so when I saw the video, I emailed him to ask if I could have it to try and fix it, and he actually responded and sent it over. So in this video, I'm going to attempt to fix it. This video is sponsored by Luster, more on them in a minute. Let's take a look at the damage on the PS5 first, and then we'll get into it and see if we can fix it. Now from the top side, you don't actually really notice much except for this right here and, you know, some dents and scratches, but when you tip it up like this, you can definitely see what's going on over here. This entire piece has totally broken out. Also, one of the most worrying parts is right down here. That would be the main board we're looking at, so that's definitely a concern. Luckily, this really bent part is out on a corner, so I'm hoping that even though this is damaged, that the rest of it might be still okay. So clearly, this corner is one that took most of the damage. Let's see the backside. The backside really actually doesn't look too bad. Other than this broken off piece here, the rest of it mostly looks pretty good. Let's remove the covers. These are definitely damaged, as one would expect. Really not too much back here. Something's going on over here. Not too bad there. This cover is definitely all broken up right here. And we got another break right there. So what do we have here? We've got a very broken disk drive. This is the main corner that took the hit. This actually could be good news though. If the disk drive took a bunch of the force, then maybe the motherboard was spared. I'm hoping so, but just for the record, I think the chances are pretty slim we're gonna fix this one. But I'm still gonna give it my best try. Let's get down to the board. I am gonna remove this warranty sticker, so unfortunately we can't send it back for warranty repair. That is a joke in case you're wondering. I mean, you could always try. Just tell them, hey, I turned it off one day and the next day, this is what it'll look like. There should be a screw right over here, but it's too bent and broken for me to even be able to see it. And I can confirm we have one good, or I guess it is bent right here. Still, it's usable. I'm gonna call it good. We have one good part from this PS5. Let's see if there are any more. And is the fan good? We have a good working fan. Two good parts. Okay, our first look at parts of the board. These parts actually all look fine. It's mainly this corner over here I'm worried about, so far I have a tiny bit of hope. Check out this screw. I'm not sure this one will come out. So when I turn it, this whole thing down here is turning. So the problem is it's actually bent right here. So anytime I turn it, this whole thing tries to move. I'm actually just gonna have to try and break it off, I think. There we go. Okay, and the disk drive, we got some major issues right here. Let's open this up real quick. Check out the inside. Well, that's not a good start. And those are all the pieces rattling around in there. And we have what looks like another good part. So if we can get this motherboard working, then this board right here will enable us to install a new disk drive into this. So even if this part wasn't fixable, we could still put this board onto another disk drive and then install that into this PS5. Next, I'm gonna remove the 4 screws, then we can remove this bottom plate and see what the condition of the disk drive is under the plate. And here's the plate. That is very bent. I don't know that I could bend that back enough to make that work. And here is the very inside of the drive. Got something stuck down in here. This screw is just stuck down in there somewhere. But actually the rest of this, as far as I can tell, is still good. The lens looks good. This whole assembly right here looks good. I don't see really any other problems. Other than this, of course. Since the case is bent in so much here, that would affect this piece right here. So that piece is probably broken. Actually, now that I look at it, it's probably broken right down here as well. But I think this whole laser and spin motor assembly is probably good itself. Okay, now we need to see if we can extract the motherboard out of the case. Then we can really get a look at how badly it's damaged. But before we do that, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, Lustre. Lustre is a free browser extension that does all the work for you when it comes to researching products and prices. When I'm looking for things like parts for the devices I'm repairing or even random tech that I need for my YouTube studio, I use Lustre to do all the research for me. Instead of doing all the hours of research that I would normally take, I can go right on Amazon and search for what I need, and Lustre will help me determine whether the product is good or not and what's a good price for it. Lustre will compile ratings and reviews from all around the web into one simple page that I can just glance at and make a quick decision. They compile results from places like YouTube, Wirecutter, and even Reddit discussions. Lustre will also tell me if the product is on sale, and it'll compare prices from all around the web from places like Target, Walmart, and Best Buy. I think Lustre is going to save you a lot of time and money, and I think you're going to love it. I'm going to leave a link to Lustre right in the description so you can check them out for yourself. Now let's check out more of this destroyed PS5. Wow, this part is definitely one of the initial points of impact. Just look how even the metal is just totally disintegrated right here. That is definitely not good news. Also, these wires right here have just totally been severed right off from the fall. Okay, let's see how bad this board is. Okay, not great over here. That could be a major issue. All right, let's get this whole thing out. Power supply is definitely messed up. So I'm actually pretty curious what this power supply looks like inside. Right here is where it took a direct hit on this corner right here, and it's just all bent down under there. So I'm gonna take this out and let's have a look at the inside and see how much damage there is there. Some pieces broken off inside there. Let's get this thing open now. So this piece is what was rattling around in there. That just totally broke off the board. Let's first make sure there's no power in the capacitors. None there, none there. Whatever you do, don't mess with power supplies at home. Make sure if you think you have a power supply issue, you take it to a professional. And there's a little part of a resistor, the outside shell of a resistor sitting down here. Let's find that on the board. So this is that resistor right here. You can see what the inside of a resistor looks like. So it looks like this resistor has a wire that wraps around it, and then this is, I would guess, probably like a ceramic core for the resistor. This part of this board is just destroyed. It's just totally broken off. So this definitely wouldn't work. And then of course down here we've got the part that was impacted on the side, and it is also just totally broken. But again, the nice thing is there are some usable parts here, specifically this chip right here. That will definitely be usable. And then also this guy right over here. Those are both very usable. And then of course we've got various components on the top of this power supply as well. That is definitely the part I'm most worried about. This and this over here both don't look great, but we also need to remove this clamp and take a look at the liquid metal underneath. The liquid metal probably spilled out of where it was supposed to be. So let's check that first. Once that's done, I'm gonna put it together enough to test, and then we'll just see what it does when we try and power it on. Okay, and the liquid metal actually didn't spill out. It got all up in the foam right here, but didn't spill anywhere, it doesn't look like. So clearly this is probably gonna be a major issue right here. The problem is that this, I think, is like a 6-layer board. So you can see that all of those layers have just totally been broken apart right there. So what I wanna do here is straighten this part of the board, maybe straighten this part of the board a little bit. I'm hoping to be able to straighten it enough that it kind of sits in there how it should. And then we'll get a known good power supply and plug it in and just see where we get power and where we don't get power on this thing. So this bottom plate right here is pretty thick metal and it's totally broken out right here. So I'm actually gonna try using a different bottom plate. Okay, better. I think that's good enough for now. Let's see if this will sit down on here how it needs to. I think mostly yes. I'm going to be using this mid frame because I know it works. So this will help us determine whether the motherboard is good or not, but I first need to put in a power supply. Okay, and that should be everything we need to at least see if there's any power at all on this board. Okay, and here we go. Let's see if anything explodes. Hopefully not. Whoa. Okay, speaking of exploding, so let's take this back off and see what's going on the other side here. Wow, that is a lot of damage. So a few minutes ago I was telling you about how this board has multiple layers. So what looks like is happening here is there's a short down on 2 of the layers down inside, and that's probably what actually caused this problem right here. So it looks like layers 1, 2, and 3 basically just all shorted together right here and caused all of this damage right here. And this is just the damage that I can see right here. As I keep tearing this away more, I keep coming into more charred motherboard layers. So this is quite the short we have here. In some instances, I may try and fix something like this, but since there are so many other parts of the board that are also damaged, I think we're gonna have to call this board unfixable. While it's a bummer that we can't fix this specific PS5, I'm actually gonna be using the parts on this motherboard to fix some other PS5s in an upcoming video. I'll put a link up on your screen now that will take you to that video as soon as I'm done with it. Be sure to check out this video's sponsor, Luster. I'll leave a link in the description that will take you right there so you can check it out for yourself. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good one.